Walk us through exactly what happens inside a practice once the patient stops responding. Where does that breakdown occur, and why can't automation or even the TC alone solve that problem?
That's a great point because as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is that the breakdown is when the TC actually does their follow-up. They do one, two, or maybe three at the most in most cases in the real world. And then if they do not get a response, they end up putting it on what we call a long-term follow-up list. And if they have time, they'll go back and revisit that list. 9 out of 10 times they don't have time because they're quite limited. And quite frankly, you'd rather them spending times with closing same day starts versus doing long-term follow-up, right? Especially with those that do not respond to you. So that's the breakdown. That's what happens. And again, it goes back to nobody's tracking this metric.
Mhm.
Nobody's seeing how many patients have come in a certain amount of time, whether it's 30, 60, 90 days, and never responded to your TC follow-up. Nobody's actually looking at that or measuring it. And if they did, they'd find out that they probably have far more in any given month than they realized. And if you're looking at three, if you have an average of $5,000, that's $15,000 a month. That adds up, right? So that's the biggest thing. And then when we get into automation, what I found over the years of doing this now, Lorraine, is that we have to give, when you're doing a follow-up, you have to give the patients a reason to respond. And, so you can't follow up with, hi, I'm glad that, we met you at such a date. I just want to follow up to see if you have any questions or if you're ready to get started. Well, if I don't have any questions and I'm not ready to get started, guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to respond. There's no value for me to take time out of my schedule and respond. I just say, okay, I'll get back to them later. Well, later never comes, right? So there's that big gap there. So therefore, what I found with automated systems is if it's going to be automated, you have to put an automated message in there. And so if there's no value in that automated message, they're not going to respond to that as well. And then the other thing is follow through. So you have to pre-schedule when you want that follow-up to go out. And that's where a lot of people forget. They'll set up intervals of maybe for 6 months and then they stop. Because in the doctor's mind, well, we don't want to bother them. We don't want to pressure them. We don't want to come across as salesy. So then they stop. Even with their automated systems, they stop. So with an automated system, the messaging is probably wrong because it doesn't even work when the TC is sending it out. So now you're using that same wrong message in an automated system. So that's not going to work. And then they give up. And so that's where the breakdown is. And that's why I don't believe in automated follow-up systems when it comes to the follow-up and follow through on these long-term pending exams.